Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I'll be going over which vehicles I think are probably going to be the best ones to purchase during the 13th anniversary in-game Golden Eagle vehicle sale, and also I'll show you which ones I am going to purchase. Now, this is actually the second time I'm trying to record this, so I've already purchased one of the vehicles I was meaning to purchase, and that vehicle is the M46 Tiger. So, if I do include how many Golden Eagles I spent in the title, well, it includes the M46 Tiger. Now, that being said, let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Now, personally, I mean, it's not like I would avoid any of the early vehicles. They're totally fine, don't get me wrong. In fact, actually, the M2A4 is actually a pretty decent vehicle, all things considered, but I would probably just skip right forward to the M4A5 for the earliest premium to purchase during this sale. This vehicle, at least for the Americans, is fantastic. This thing has a 57mm fast-firing cannon with a speed all the way down to 4 seconds for reload. Has absolutely phenomenal armor, and even though the armor stats don't look necessarily incredible, trust me, they are. Plus, this thing has so many angles and all that, it's just great. And the cannon can fire up through over 120 millimeters of armor. Overall, just a fantastic vehicle, plus even the mobility is pretty decent. I absolutely love it. Now, moving on, I would pick up the T14, though the Cobra King, I would say just about as good. I mean, pretty much, it's about the same relative to BR as the Cobra King. Probably the Cobra King is technically a touch better, but I personally just like the T14, and I think the reason for that is because even though the mobility is worse on the T14 compared to the Cobra King, the difference is that this has the same exact cannon, the 75mm M3, but it's a full BR lower. So even though defensively it's not quite as good, it still has fantastic defense, and its cannon is a bit more effective at this BR than the Cobra King's is at 5.7. You also have the Calliope, but personally I find it a bit of a meme vehicle, but to be honest with you, I just find like the pricing is just too much. Like, you could purchase, I think, like the T14 Cobra King for a substantially less price combined than you could for the Calliope. And bear in mind, I have all of these, so I forget the exact price of them all, but if I'm not mistaken, the Calliope costs a lot. Now, don't get me wrong, it can still be quite an effective vehicle. I mean, the 75mm cannon is still very good at 4.0 BR, and the rockets are very effective, but it just costs a little bit too much. Plus, it's a rank 3. You'd be better off going for a rank 4 or higher, which, by the way, if you guys don't know, and I have a video about this, going over the penalties for researching outside of your viable ranks. So let's say, for example, if you have a premium and it's like a rank 4 premium, a rank 4 premium can research from rank 1 through rank 5 without penalty, whereas a rank 4 regular tech tree vehicle can only research from rank 3 through rank 5. So basically, a regular tech tree vehicle is -1, +1 on your rank with perfect efficiency, so with no penalties. Whereas a premium can research every rank up to 1 rank above it. So basically, again, from rank 1 to whatever rank is 1 rank above it. So the Super Hellcat can research through rank 5, whereas the Wolfpack can research through rank 8, which is just crazy. Now, getting back to the rank 4 vehicles, the Super Hellcat, I kind of like it, but personally, I'm not a huge fan of it. So it still has a very nice power to weight ratio of around 20-1. But as you can see here with the M18 Hellcat, the M18 Hellcat, the standard one, even though it has a weaker cannon, you're looking at 60 more horsepower, and it weighs 2.7 tons less, which is just crazy. So it is a substantially quicker vehicle, and even though the top speed is technically higher on the 90mm Hellcat, realistically speaking, it's not going to be anywhere near as quick as the standard Hellcat. It's a bit more of like a flanking sniper, if you will, whereas the M18 Hellcat is a bit more like a get-up-in-your-face sort of vehicle, which I personally like. Next up, we have the T20. Find this to be an excellent vehicle. I mean, it's pretty much the Sherman of 6.3 BR. Really nice vehicle. Its cannon is a bit underwhelming, but otherwise a very nice, and especially mobile vehicle. Next, the M26 T99. I like it a lot, but it costs a lot. Very similar to the Calliope. If I were to purchase one, I'd probably get the M26 T99 over the Calliope, but again, I mean, it just costs way too much. These two vehicles are vehicles I would purchase, like, only if you have nothing else to buy, right? So it's a nice vehicle, but personally, I'd probably get the M26E1 over top of that, and the reason being is because this has a much more powerful cannon. So even though it's about the same as the T20, it's got about the same cannon as the T26E11, the Super Pershing. It is a bit less armored, but it is also a little bit quicker. So it really depends on what you prefer. It also has a bit longer of a reload compared to your standard M26, so there's that. And then finally, of course, you have the M46 Tiger. Personally, of all of these, I'd probably get the M26E1, or actually, you know what? Because it's a rank 4, I'd probably get the T20. I feel like that's probably the most well-rounded of all these vehicles. Then finally, we have rank 5, or not finally, but next we have rank 5. The T114 is absolutely fantastic. I am not good with it. I already have a review on this thing, as I do with most of these vehicles. I am not good with this vehicle at all. So, while I'm not good with it, most people absolutely love it, and I can see it for what it is. This is an excellent close-range sort of tank, just to troll the hell out of people. It can be extremely powerful. So yeah, I mean, I do recommend it in that way, but if you're more of a traditional player like I am, maybe it's not the best. Then, of course, we have the T54, E1, and the E2. Personally, I think the E2 is a little bit better relative to BR. It is a 0.3 BR is lower, but it also weighs about 5 tons less, so it's a bit more mobile. It's got the same cannon, same sort of ammo, if I'm not mistaken, but it is a bit more mobile as well. The big difference here is that the E1 has the autoloader with a 5-second reload, whereas this does not. Also, this has a better vertical cannon guidance of between -10, +20, whereas this has -8 to +13. Plus, also the E2 has a faster turret traverse. So basically, even though yes, it does have a much slower reload rate, it is still 0.3 BRs lower, and also has some pretty nice positives as well. I would take the E2 over the E1, but just barely. And then, of course, next up we have the M1128 Wolfpack. I love it. This is one of those vehicles that you can pretty much just expose the cannon, and that's it. If you're behind a berm or something, only the cannon would be exposed, which means that for the most part, your crew is going to be safe inside the vehicle. Being that this is an unmanned turret, can be extremely powerful, especially with the M900. I actually fully recommend this. If you have the money, I would say the M1128 Wolfpack is probably going to be the best one to get, just because you can grind the entirety of the American ground tech tree with it, which has enormous utility, at least in my opinion. Next, we have helicopters. Personally, I don't really think I could recommend any. Also, I think the AH-64A is a pack premium, if I'm not mistaken, and the UH-1C is just on sale every now and again, so not really anything I could even recommend. Insofar as the aircraft are concerned, I'd say the KI-61-1B is probably not going to be your one of choice here. I'd go with the KH-43-2, or KI rather, 43-2, because it has better stats. It's just a little bit better relative to BR than the KI-61 is, being 2.3 or 2.7 BR as opposed to 3.7, plus they're the same ranks. Next, we have rank 3. I would probably go with the BTD-1 if you want more of a do-it-all sort of vehicle. This thing gets a bomber spawn in air battles, and has two 20mm cannons, meaning that effectively you can go after other bombers. So this thing is really, really nice just for that alone, but you can also carry yourself a really nice payload. And again, I have reviews on pretty much all of these, so if you want more of an idea, definitely check those out. Next, we have the XP50. This thing used to be dominant. It still is very good, but now that it has an airfield spawn rather than an actual air spawn, it's not quite as good, but still it's phenomenal rate of climb, excellent turn time, excellent top speed, and while you have your cannons, excellent, excellent armament. Really, really good. Personally, I'd prefer the BF-109 F4. I feel like it's just a little bit more balanced than the XP50. You can do a little bit more, but both of them are excellent. The XP50 is still technically probably a little bit better. Next, when it comes to rank 4, the XA-38 rather, amazing CAS aircraft, absolutely fantastic, terrible when it comes to air. So I personally like it a lot, but it is really, really bad when it comes to air, but just phenomenal when it comes to ground. And it's all the way down at 3.7 BR, which is just crazy for a rank 4. And then, of course, I think the only other one that you could purchase, the only other two, are going to be the Spitfire LF Mark 9C and also the FW190A8. The Spitfire is probably going to be a little bit better if you want something that's a little bit better like for multi-role, just technically this can carry both air and ground weapons, whereas the A8 is just an interceptor. The A8, in my opinion, is going to be a bit better when it comes to anti-air, again, because it does have the interceptor air spawn, but it's also a lower BR. So I'd probably pick this over the Spitfire, but if you really want something that can kind of do both for whatever reason, you can get this. But again, if you're looking for a CAS aircraft, you may as well get the XA-38 and then get the FW-190A8 for air. Next up, we have rank 5. Any day of the week, A2D1, this thing does it all. Air, ground, naval. It is fantastic. Easily one of the most versatile aircraft in War Thunder. I would pick this thing any day of the week, and it has an absolutely massive payload with a 4,000-pound bomb in the center and two 2,000-pound bombs on the outside. Phenomenal aircraft, 800km/h top speed. Just amazing. 100% pick this thing up any day of the week. And then finally, I don't really think there are any other Golden Eagle premiums. Correct me if I'm wrong. If the AVA-A Harrier is a Golden Eagle premium, I'd say it's actually probably worth it. I don't know if this is for sale, though. If it is, I'd say it is worth it. It's a very, very good vehicle. It's not absolutely phenomenal, but it is still very, very good. And it's a higher rank than what you get on the A2D1. But if there's any must-have in this, I'd say the A2D1. And then when it comes to fleets, personally, I don't really think that there's anything worth it insofar as GE is concerned. Now, moving on to Germany, we can just kind of, again, rank 1s are cool and all. The Neubaufahrzeuge, it's okay, but it's not really phenomenal, and it's only rank 1. Plus, it costs a lot of GE for a rank 1, so can't really recommend it. Now, the Panzer IIIN is actually really, really good, to the point where it's a damn shame that's only a rank 2. I actually really like this thing. It's like a mini Tiger tank. So, in many ways, yes, I actually do fully recommend it, especially if the pricing is very low. Next, we have the rank 3 vehicles? I was just like looking at this like, oh, this is a rank 3? Yeah, these are all rank 3. So I'd probably say if you're going to buy any of these, probably go for the KV-1 German. This thing is fantastic. Even at 5.0 BR, its cannon is still very, very good. And the Panzer Befehlswagen 4J, I think that this is a very good vehicle just as well. Now, the thing, and also the T-34 747. All three of these vehicles are really good. I think if you're looking for the most overpowered cannon relative to BR, go for the Panzer Befehlswagen 4J. A much more well-rounded vehicle, the German T-34. And if you want kind of a still very capable heavy tank, the KV-1. That's kind of how I would break it down. I think that, again, the most well-rounded is going to be the German T-34. I think I have reviews on all of these. They are all fantastic choices, in my opinion. Next, we have rank 4, the Panzer Befehlswagen 6P. Absolutely fantastic. It's basically an up-armored Panzer version, or Porsche version of the Tiger. Awesome, awesome vehicle. Slow as hell, but really, really fun in my opinion. My apologies. I play Naval Arcade sometimes, so the arcade settings were on there. So this is actually the Panzer Befehlswagen 4J is actually a 3.7, whereas the other ones are the same exact BR that they were before. So yeah, still same recommendations I had before. Now, when it comes to the 6P, when it comes to this vehicle, it is very slow. 625 horsepower engine and 60 tons. And it only has a 31 km/h top speed. Very slow vehicle, but excellent, excellent armor from the front. I actually really like this vehicle. It is very powerful. It has a really nice reverse speed too. I think it's also 31 km/h. So yes, I do actually recommend this over top the Befehlswagen Jagdpanzer Aufführung G1, if I'm not mistaken. Ausführung. But if I'm going to pick one of any of these, I'd probably go with the RU-251 personally. This is a light tank. I feel like at 7.3 BR it is still very, very powerful. But if not that, then I'd go with the Panzer Befehlswagen 6P. And then finally go for the Befehlswagen Jagdpanther Ausführung G1. Very, very good. Next up, we have rank 5 vehicles. I actually really, really like the MKPZ M47G. It's a really nice overall vehicle, in my opinion. It has the M431 shell, which is a pretty low-level heat FS, very powerful 320 millimeters of armor pen. And if you don't want that, you still have the pretty decent M82 shell. And if you really want, you also have some APCRs, which are typically ineffective. But at this really low BR, you also have smoke grenades and smoke shells. Just a very good overall vehicle. Plus, it also has an excellent turret traverse speed of up to 36 degrees per second. Yeah, you heard that right, 36 degrees per second, to the point where I am going to purchase this vehicle. I actually did a review on this vehicle, so if you guys want to check that out, definitely feel free. But I believe, actually no, you also have the TAM2 IP. I actually really like the TAM2 IP, but the big problem with this vehicle is that it lacks infrared. So you do not get thermals with this vehicle. It is 9.3 PR. It is relatively lightly armored, but the thing with this vehicle is that it actually has composite screens, whereas the other TAMs do not. So I actually do really like this vehicle. It's got good armor pen with a DM33. It's only a 105mm cannon, but still very effective. It's a very quick vehicle with over a 20-to-1 horsepower per ton power to weight ratio. Personally, I find this to be a very, very good vehicle overall. And yes, I do recommend this. Actually, probably above the MKPZ M47G, just because it is a higher rank. You can grind through more of the tech tree with it, and it's actually a very, very fun, light tank. Then, of course, going to helicopters. I mean, I was kind of leaning towards getting this for myself, but in my opinion, it's not really incredibly worth it. I mean, it's good, don't get me wrong. If you want a helicopter, it's a decent enough choice, but nothing incredible. And then, of course, the Tiger Head E, not really something you can purchase with Golden Eagles. Next up, we have Air, and there are actually quite a few choices here. If you're going to go for a rank 2, if this is still available, the IL-2 1942 is probably going to be your best choice. It can actually carry a decent enough anti-ground loadout relative to BR, plus it can handle its business in air pretty decent overall. Next, we have rank 3. Personally, I love the TA-154A1. This is phenomenal as a heavy interceptor. I love it. Then, of course, you can also go with the classic P47 D16RE. This is really, really good, and believe it or not, those guns can be used in order to strafe pretty effectively. And then finally, you have the FW190A5U14, another one that I do like, but it's just a little bit weird. It has a pretty lacking armament insofar as air-to-air is concerned, and it's counted as a torpedo bomber because it can, of course, carry a torpedo. But the torpedo is kind of ineffective. If you're a big fan of torpedo bombing, you've always wanted an FW-190 to do so, it's okay, but personally, I would probably pick the P-47 for your overall aircraft, but if you want something with a bit more firepower, plus a nice air spawn, TA-154A1 is the way to go. Next, we have rank 4. Personally, of all of these, there are 2 that I would choose. DO335B2 and the JU288C. Phenomenal vehicles any day of the week. I absolutely love them to death. The DO335B2, in my opinion, is probably going to be the best of them because this thing is incredible when it comes to CAS because, as you can see, it has a 500 kilogram bomb and up to 250 kilogram bombs that you can carry underneath, and it also has the 30 millimeters that have up to over 80 or around 80 millimeters of armor pen, which is just phenomenal. This thing is just so good. Not as good versus air, but still for the most part doable, and with a very high top speed of almost 800 kilometers per hour, it is phenomenal. Then, of course, you have the JU288C. This thing still, for the most part, prints money. For me personally, I actually use it for the most part in naval because it has those 2,500 kilogram bombs that, if you time them right, they can pretty much sink any battleship out there in 1 at most 2 hits. And I've had many matches where I get like 6 to 10 kills with this thing before I myself am dead or before the match ends. So very, very effective in pretty much any game mode that you could use. But if you want more of an active type of playstyle, DO335B2 does just as well. Then, of course, we have some other vehicles here. G91R4. I love this thing. Love it, love it, love it. This thing is a relatively low BR carrier for AIM-9s. You can carry up to 4 of them, which is really nice. And you also have yourself up to 4 50 cal machine guns. Plus, it also has the ability to carry Nords insofar as air-to-air and air-to-ground are concerned. So, very effective in that regard. Personally, I find that this is a bit more effective air-to-air, unless, of course, you're really good at manually guiding those Nords against ground targets, in which case, it can be extremely effective in that regard, too. But really just an excellent overall vehicle. Then, of course, moving up, I think like that the SPSK is GE based. It's a pretty good vehicle. I mean, it's got really low BR R13 M1s, which are excellent. IR guided missiles for their BR. Really, really nice. They have a pretty decent range. Of course, you also have the R60s, which are also very powerful. And you have the R3 Rs, which you can use for air-to-air insofar as like locking onto the enemy is concerned. So very effective in that regard. Now, unfortunately, this only has a cannon if you equip it, so that's not really going to be all that effective insofar as you can either use a cannon or you can put countermeasures on. But again, at low BR, this is going to be 9.7 for air RB. You're seeing the 9.3 BR that it currently has for its ground RB BR, but it's a very effective vehicle overall. So you can carry up to 2 R60s, or you can carry yourself a bunch of R3Rs and R3Ss, so very effective overall vehicle in my opinion. But it also doesn't really have the best engine and all that, even despite its rate of climb and all that. It's still not phenomenal in that regard, but still pretty damn good. Now, of course, getting over to Blue Water, not really anything that I would recommend. If the Prince Eugen is available for GE, I would go for that, but I don't believe it is. And then, of course, Coastal, I don't really have anything to say about that. Now, when it comes to USSR, we are going straight to rank 2, although I will say the T3 is pretty effective. This is basically just a Panzer III, but in the Soviet ground forces. And you could also get the RBT. Actually, no, you can't get the RBT-5. You can get the T-35. The T-35 is actually quite effective, but it costs just a little bit too many Golden Eagles. And if you want, you can get an early release Su-57, because why the hell not? You know, the Soviets don't have that in their tech tree yet, but you can get it, technically. But moving on to an actual vehicle here, there are a few vehicles I would recommend. I actually really, really like the SMK. This thing is kind of like a multi-turreted early prototype version of KV-1. Really, really powerful, believe it or not. And I have a review that I've been working on with this. Actually a very, very good vehicle. Plus, doesn't even have the worst power to weight ratio. 850 horsepower for 55 tons. And it has a 7-man crew. Sure, its armor isn't fantastic, but it really isn't all that bad either. I actually really, really like it. Moving on, we have T-34 57 1943. Very good vehicle. It's got the smaller 57mm cannon, and it is a little bit better than what you see here with this one, because it does have a little bit more armor for the turret. It's got the, like the hex nut or whatever the hell turret they call it. So very effective vehicle in my opinion. I actually quite like it. It's more of like a TD version of the T-34, so I do kind of like it in that regard. Then of course we also have the M4A2. This is another very good vehicle. It's 5.3 PR, has the longer 76mm cannon. Both of them, I mean, like, between this and the T-34-57, really can't say anything bad about them. Might say the M4A2 is a little bit better overall because it does have a bigger cannon, has better post-pen damage, and it does have that stabilizer. So it might be technically a little bit better overall, but this is going to be a bit faster if you want more of a flanking vehicle. The T-34-57 overall is going to be a little bit better, but if you want a little bit more of a balanced vehicle, maybe the M4A2 might be right for you. Then, of course, we're going to rank 5. And this one is a bit weird because there are a bunch of up-gunned vehicles out there that that the Soviets have. And so, realistically speaking, any of the vehicles with like the 122mm, I would almost kind of avoid them. The only one that I would kind of say, maybe okay to, is the KV-122. And the reason being is that it's such a low BR. This thing is basically a tank annihilator. It's one of the lowest BR vehicles in game with this cannon size, and so it is actually quite powerful, but its reload rate kind of sucks. Poor turret rotation speed, it weighs a lot. And then of course you also have your T-44 122, which if you guys don't know, I've got reviews on, again, pretty much all of these, but if you look at it, you see this armor right here? It looks pretty good, and then you get this really flat piece of armor right here, which is just ultra easy to pen. Let's go with like a more like T-34-85, right? So you're not going to pen this? Easy to pen that. And so it's just such an easy tank to kill. It's probably the easiest T-44 to kill out there. Plus it has a ridiculous reload rate. It's just, in my opinion, if you're going to go with one, go with the KV-122. In fact, actually, I'll buy it right now. Other than this, the T5 is really nice. This is basically, I think, a Panther A, if I'm not mistaken. Very powerful vehicle. I'd probably pick this over the other ones because personally, I like Panthers the most. But if you're going to go with another one, KV-122 is also a decent choice. And if this is available to the T3485E is also pretty decent. Now going on to rank 5. Do they have anything? I think the TL55 is for sale for Golden Eagles, if I'm not mistaken. If it is, this is an excellent vehicle. I actually really like it. It's a flamethrower version of the T55. Very, very powerful vehicle in my usage of it. It's not really anything necessarily all too fancy, but it does have a gun stabilizer. I mean, it's got good enough armor, very good mobility relative to BR. Just a pretty standard vehicle. I think it's the T54 basically, or no, it's like the T55, but like standard, or like the T54 51, but like with a, I don't know. Basically, it's a little bit better than it probably should be, if that makes any sense. Like, it's 8.0 BR. I forget the exact stats of it, but in short, I mean, you have yourself good heat FS, you have yourself good APDS, and it also has a flamethrower, which for the most part, flamethrowers are a gimmick in this game, but still pretty damn cool. Then, of course, you have the Object 140. I think, is this a Golden Eagle vehicle? If it is a Golden Eagle vehicle, I love it. If not, that's fine too. But if it is, I would actually pick this over the TO55 any day of the week. I forget if it is a Golden Eagle vehicle, so forgive me if I do that. Next up, we have rank 7. Oh man, this is a tough one. Go with the 2S38 or the T80UD. Personally, possibly the 2S38, but the T80UD is just so damn good. If you want more of like more of an MBT, the 2S38 is just probably actually better. Or did I just say the 2S38? I meant to say the T80UD. The T80UD is a little bit better probably than the 2S38, but the 2S38 is just so damn good. Both of these vehicles are just incredible. Absolutely incredibly powerful. I would go with either of them. I mean, like, I can't say enough good things about both of them. They're just so good. And you also have nice ERA on the T80UD. It's just, you really can't go wrong with either. If you want more of a light tank that can also shoot down aircraft, kind of a do-it-all tank, go with the 2S38. If you want more of an MBT, T80UD any day of the week. That's pretty much all I could say about that. Then, of course, we have aircraft. And, it's a little bit weird. Aircraft for Soviets get a little bit better when you get to like higher BRs. So, I mean, early BRs, it's not really all too much, I would say. Going on to rank 3, the P47 T27 is actually really, really nice because you can carry 200 or two 500 kilogram bombs and one 250 kilogram. So it's a really nice overall solution for air to air or air to ground. Definitely actually, if you're looking for a rank 3, solid choice there. When it comes to rank 4, not really all too much I would go with. The SU-6 is pretty good for anti-ground, but nothing incredibly good because for the most part, you can just carry small bombs, right? You can carry yourself a bunch of 25 kilogram bombs, which really aren't all that good. A bunch of 100 kilogram bombs, which again aren't really all that good. For air to air, it's decent as a 5.8 kilogram or 5.08 kilogram per second burst mass with a good amount of ammo between its 27s and also its LMGs. Decent enough vehicle, but nothing all too great. I mean, you can go with the Yak 3 if you really want. This is basically a Yak 3 with a VK107 engine. Good vehicle, but nothing necessarily all that great. You don't really get into really good Soviet premiums until you start getting rank 5. Any day of the week, SU-11 among the best vehicles at its BR easily. This thing is incredible. Excellent top speed, amazing rate of climb, really good turn time, very powerful armament, although with limited ammunition, and it can carry up to a 500 kilogram bomb. Phenomenal. And then you also have the MiG-15 BIS ISH, which is basically a MiG-15 BIS at a lower BR, and with ballistic computers for its rockets, and with downward-facing rockets that actually makes them easier to fire. So, I'll show you right here, if you look at this, these are the downward-facing rockets. And it's actually quite an interesting contraption here, but basically you're getting the MiG-15 BIS performance at a lower BR, and technically speaking, this is a little bit worse than the MiG-15 BIS because it does weigh a touch more, plus it has a little bit more drag, but barely worse. This thing is at the same BR as the standard MiG-15, so it's just better. It's so good. In my opinion, easily, I mean, either of these would be good. Probably the Su-11 over the MiG-15 BIS ISH. Still, both are excellent. Then, of course, you have the other ones here. I think the MiG-21S, this has basically basically, if you can imagine the SPSK, but instead of the more advanced weapon systems, as you can see here, you just have the R3Ss and R3Rs. Instead of the R60s and the R13s, you have better performance. So it's not really necessarily all that great, and also you don't have countermeasures for this. So it's a pretty effective vehicle if you're more of a performance person, but if not, decent. Then otherwise you have the Yak 38 and the SU-7 BMK. If these are Golden Eagles, I'd probably go with the SU-7 BMK because it is actually a pretty decent air-to-ground vehicle, and it can get the job done air-to-air. Now when it comes to Blue Water or Coastal, again, not really anything that I would personally purchase, at least it's currently available. Now, when it comes to Great Britain, and thank you so much, by the way, guys, for sticking around here. We're going to keep on moving on. Ram 2, again, this is the same Ram 2 that you have for the M4A5 or the M5A4, whatever it is, in the M4A5 Ram 2. It's the same one in the Great Britain ground tech tree. Phenomenal vehicle. Buy this thing any day of the week. I love it. Excellent, excellent, excellent. You can get yourself the Cromwell. It's not bad, but in my opinion, for a rank 2, costs too many Golden Eagles. Now moving on to rank 3, Sherman IC Trizniak. This thing is phenomenal. I love it. It's basically a lighter weight Firefly Sherman with more armor. So it's actually better, in my opinion, by a pretty decent margin compared to your standard Sherman Firefly, because even though it has 25 less horsepower, it also weighs around 6 or 5.5 tons less. So yes, I would get this. I would also get the AC4 if you want a slightly heavier vehicle, but probably the Sherman a bit more than the AC4. Then of course, moving on here, I think the Centurion Action X, if I'm not mistaken, is available for Golden Eagles. Not a bad vehicle. Basically, the big difference here with the Centurion Action X is that it has it lacks a turret mantlet, right? Basically, its cannon is more or less integrated into the turret itself. So it's a kind of interesting vehicle. It's more or less like your standard Centurion, but with a bit better of a turret in some ways, because it's just kind of all one solid block. Not a bad choice for a rank 4. Pretty decent, but I'd possibly pick it up. I'm not really in love with it. Then, of course, we have rank 5. Nothing really there. I don't think you can get either of these right now. But when it comes to rank 6, you have yourself some options. Avoid the Vigianta any day of the week. This thing is just not very good. I'm sorry if you're in love with the idea of the Vigianta being good. It is not. It is just not good at all. Then, of course, you have yourself the Ruacat 105 and the Khalid. I actually had someone asking me about this the other day. Personally, I prefer the Ruacat 105, but that's because I play a little bit more offensively. But if you want a much more well-rounded vehicle, Khalid is amazing too. These are both really, really good vehicles. In the Khalid, you're looking at 1,217 horsepower for 58 tons, which at this BR is actually quite respectable. It's a really, really nice vehicle. It's got itself the L23. It's got itself a laser rangefinder. It does not have thermals, but at this BR, not really necessary. And then, of course, the Ruacat 105 has 421 millimeters of armor pen with the DM33. It's got itself Gen 1 thermals in a laser rangefinder, but it's a higher BR. Personally, I would go with the Ruacat over the Khalid, but I mean, really, they're equal in my opinion. Then, of course, moving on from helicopter, there's not really anything helicopter-wise that I could recommend. We are getting into, again, rank 2. There's not really all too much I could recommend rank 2. Maybe the Corsair F Mark II. This thing is pretty good insofar as its anti-air or anti-ground payload is concerned. Carry up to 2 1,000-pound bombs, which is pretty nice. It's nothing phenomenal, but it's good enough in my opinion. Plus, it also has itself the 6 Browning 50 cals. Now, unfortunately, it does not have the late war belts with incendiary tracers, but it's still very, very nice. And 683 miles or kilometers per hour at 2.7 BR, really awesome. Then, of course, we're going to rank 3. I'd probably pick, of all of these, the Thunderbolt Mark 1, just because it has the best overall armament, carry 1,000-pound bombs plus a 500-pounder, and this is basically a P-47, so very nice in that regard. Plus, it also, actually no, it does have the incendiary tracer belt, so this does benefit from that. Those set pretty much everything on fire. But if you want more of an anti-air sort of weapon, the Mustang Mark 1A is absolutely phenomenal. This is such a good vehicle for anti-air, but more well-rounded. Go with the Thunderbolt Mark 1. Now for rank 4, MB5, I like the MB5 quite a bit for anti-air, for anti-ground. It sucks for the most part, but for aircraft, like for fighting, it is just awesome. Love it as a fighter, not very good for anti-ground. If you want something a bit more anti-ground, you can go with the Hornet Mark 1, but unfortunately the Hornet Mark 1 is basically a lesser Hornet Mark 3. The reason being is because this lacks the higher octane fuel. As you can see here, you have no high octane fuel, and the Hornet Mark 3 does. So the Mark 1 is a bit worse than the Mark 3 in that regard, but still a plenty serviceable fighter. I feel that the Mark 5, or the Mark 3 rather, is just a much better aircraft. So I almost kind of always feel like, why am I playing this thing whenever I had played it when I had done my review? And then of course we have the Rank 5 Sea Vixen FAW Mark 2. This thing has gone up in BR several times, unfortunately, and it lacks a gun, but it has red tops and fire streaks, plus it has amazing performance. So I actually really like this vehicle. It's quite good. Even anti-ground, it has fantastic weaponry that you can use. So just overall, a really nice vehicle. But its BR has increased to the extent where I'm not a huge fan of that. Then you have the Attacker FB2. The only difference between this and the standard one is I think the engine is technically different, but not really to any appreciable extent in game. It's not going to necessarily improve performance, rather the engine differences in the FB2, they were really there to improve, I think, ease of maintenance and also reliability. So there's not really all too much different. Functionally, it's the same as the FB Mark 1, and in that regard, it's just a plenty decent aircraft. It can do air-to-air, air-to-ground, all pretty decent, nothing outstanding about it. Then you also have the Harrier GR1. I actually really like the Harrier GR1. It has pretty good anti-ground capabilities, as most Harriers do. Plus, it has the SRAMs, which are absolutely phenomenal when it comes to close range. But you have to be pretty much within about a kilometer at most of the enemy. So they are very difficult missiles to use effectively. But if you can use them effectively, this thing can be an absolute demon in air-to-air battles. But I think that's about it for Great Britain when it comes to air and ground. Now, going over to Japan, there are quite a few vehicles I really like for Japan. Chinu 2, any day of the week. I actually have this thing. I'm doing a review on it, actually, as we speak. Love the Chinu 2. This thing has such a great cannon at its BR, among the best cannons at its BR. 148 millimeters of armor pen. In fact, actually, you can get up to 151 millimeters of armor pen with excellent post-pen damage. Decent enough mobility, nothing fantastic. Not great survivability, but certainly not the worst either. However, prototype. Oh, by the way, I recommend this if you're going to purchase a Rank 3. Yeah, Chinu 2. Excellent. Then you have the Ho-Ri prototype. Pretty good vehicle, nothing incredible. It has pretty mediocre mobility, whereas the Ho-Ri production, much better mobility. 1100 horsepower. It's got 2 times the horsepower of this. Plus, it also has more armor than this. But if you're looking for a pretty good cannon, this definitely has it. Oh, and that's another thing. The cannon on the Ho-Ri production is higher velocity and thus has higher armor pen. Then kind of moving on, I wouldn't really get the Type 75 MLRS. The only reason why I got this is just because I have the ability to get it with basically the Golden Eagles I get from Gaijin. So I'd probably avoid that. I think you can get the Type 16 FPS, if I'm not mistaken, one of these two for Golden Eagles. If you can get the Type 16 FPS for Golden Eagles, get it. It's really good. I would say this is better than the Rurocat 105, relative to BR at least. Really nice vehicle overall. Then the Type 74G, much the same way. If you can get this for Golden Eagles, and I kind of forget off the top of my head, if you can, definitely worth taking a look at it. And it's kind of the same situation that the Khalid Rurocat 105 were in. Next up, the Kisarazu is okay. It's a fun vehicle, sure, but its ATGMs aren't really amazing. Then, of course, we have air. There are so many Japanese aircraft here that you could look at. Personally, what was it? Not the KI-44-2 Otsu. This thing is just ridiculous. It's got 40 millimeter cannon with incredibly low muzzle velocity, 264 millimeters or meters per second of muzzle velocity. I'd avoid it. BF-109E7, this is a really good aircraft in general. I'd recommend it if you're looking for a rank 2, but moving on to rank 3, KI-102, yes, and yes. I'm probably going to be doing a review on this. Very powerful vehicle in general. I wouldn't avoid the KI-96, but the KI-102, very powerful. Moving on to rank 5 or rank 4. I don't know if I've actually released my review on the A7M1 yet, but it's pretty much done if I haven't. Amazing vehicle. Easily among the best props at 5.0 BR, give or take like 0.3 BR. Just an absolutely phenomenal vehicle. 100% recommend this thing. Plus, if you want it, you can even carry 260 kilogram bombs, which really aren't all that great, but hey, you know what? If you want, you can use that. Then, of course, you also have the J2M4 Kai. I think that's available for Golden Eagles. Pretty good when it comes to air-to-air, but personally, again, if I'm going to pick one of these, yes, the A7M1 any day of the week. And then moving on, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is the AV8S. Is that for sale for Golden Eagles? If it is, yeah, I'd get it. I would get it. It's pretty much the same as your AV8A. It's very similar, as a matter of fact. I mean, it's got the AIM-9Ps instead of, I think, the AIM-9Gs with that, but pretty much the same anti-ground loadout. Very, very good when it comes to overall just an aircraft. And then, of course, you have your Blue Water Fleet. There is one that I would recommend. If you can still get the Makuma, yes, any day of the week. This thing is great. Pretty lightly armored, but you can carry yourself a bunch of Type 93 torpedoes, which have excellent travel distance, really nice TNT equivalent. They're not the best Japanese torpedoes. If you want those, you might want to look at the Shimakaze, as they have up to 1,000 kilograms of TNT equivalent, but they also have lower travel distance. But either way, the Makuma, very, very nice, especially if you have torpedo tests that you want to get done. I actually do use the Makuma myself. Now, when it comes to China, and this is where we're going to start seeing like thinning out here of vehicles. There just aren't all that many. I really like the M41A3. It's a lower BR version of the M41 because it only has the solid shot. And I think, I forget what else it has, but basically it's a lower BR version. I actually really like this vehicle. At 5.7 BR, it is extremely powerful, like surprisingly powerful. Really nice vehicle, over 20 to 1 horsepower per ton power to weight ratio. Still has over 170 millimeters of armor pen. Just a very, very nice vehicle, all things considered. Then, of course, moving on, if you can get the CTC 9059A, it's not bad, but its stabilizer, I think, conks out at around 40 kilometers per hour or 30. One or the other, I think it's around 40. So if you're going near top speed, you're not going to be able to get it, but you're also looking at a very low BR rate laser stabilizer plus APDS and heat FS. In my opinion, it's a very nice overall vehicle. It doesn't really do anything incredibly well, but it has a very nice armament if you can get it to work for you. Then, of course, kind of moving on here, we have the WMA 301 classic vehicle. I mean, like, this thing can pretty much do it all. Type 83 APDS, which is, of course, APF SDS. Of course, you also have your Type 83 heat if you really want to use heat FS at this BR, which typically I wouldn't, but it is still viable at this BR. And then, of course, you also have your GP105 tandem charge ATGM. Again, oh, and you also have, of course, a proxy fuse, or time fuse rather, HE shell for destroying aircraft, and it also has, I think, Gen 2 or Gen 3 thermals. Really, really good vehicle. If you're going to be getting a rank 6, yes, this is the one to get. And then, of course, I think finally you can still get the ZTZ96AP. If I'm not mistaken, this is for Golden Eagles. Really awesome. Pretty much just a Chinese terms, if you will. It's a very, very effective vehicle. I personally like it. I'd probably actually take this over the WMA 301, but that's just me. Well, especially being that it's a higher rank. Then, of course, moving to Chinese air. There's not really a ton I'd be looking at. I do really like the F-47 N25RE, but if you haven't noticed by this point, I am a huge P-47 fan. They are amazing because of how potent they are. Like, look at this armament. You can carry 3 1,000-pound bombs and 4 HVARs, which, by the way, HVARs aren't fantastic, but they are still viable. And so you're looking at a very fast vehicle, not really the most maneuverable or highest rate of climb out there, but for CAS and also for decent air-to-air, I really don't see where you can go wrong. Then you have the, I would just skip these in my opinion, but then you also have the, actually, wait, no, whoa, let me take that back. The KI-84, I remember this. This is a vehicle that I have used a bit. It's very good for air-to-air, but you can also carry 250 kilogram bombs, which is actually quite unusual for Japanese aircraft. So in some ways, yes, I would actually still recommend this as well if you're looking for a rank 4. Now, for a rank 5 vehicle, yes, this is also very good. I mean, it's your standard Thunderjet, but as you can see, I mean, I have used it. I think I have a review on it. It can only carry HVARs insofar as its rockets are concerned, and of course, tiny TIMs, but if you want the smaller rockets, HVARs are the only way that you can go. Then, of course, you can carry 2 1,000-pound bombs. Nothing incredible, pretty decent overall vehicle. Really can't go wrong with it, but it's also not amazing. And I think you can get the Shenyang F5, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of people dislike it because it is pretty weak overall, but in my opinion, if you can use this thing, you can use this thing pretty much in asymmetrical warfare, just completely maximizing its incredible rate of turn, and also it's decent enough speed. Not really, it's pretty slow, but you're going to be coming up against A10s and all that with this vehicle. If you can prey on those vehicles and act as a scavenger, it's actually quite effective. And I think the A5C is Golden Eagle worthy, if I'm not mistaken. If it is, any day of the week, phenomenal vehicle. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Just great when it comes to air, anti-air. You can get the Matra Magic 550s and also AIM-9Ps if you really want. And you also have a very, very nice anti-ground loadout. Phenomenal. So many things here. Now for Italy. I would get probably the Sherman 1 Composito over the Panzer 4G. Both of them are really, really good. I think the Sherman 1 is a little bit better insofar as just being a better overall vehicle is concerned. It is a bit quicker. If I'm not mistaken, it does have a bit better power to weight ratio. If not, its suspension is a touch better than what you get on the Panzer 4. It has a stabilizer. It also has that top-mounted HMG. It's got a slightly better reload rate, better turret rotation speed, but the Panzer 4G, if you're looking for just straight out cannon, you really cannot beat this. Then, of course, you have the rank 4s, the Tigris. I'd probably pick the Tigris any day of the week over the DC Aria. Just phenomenal. It's just so good. I love it. I mean, the M26 is good, but the Tigris is just, oh my goodness. And then, because this is pretty much just a standard Tiger, I think it's the E, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me in the comments below. I've been talking for a long time here. If you can get the Panzer Haubitz 2000 HU, very good, but I would probably take the M60A1 DC over that, simply because it's just a little bit more of an overall vehicle. Plus, it actually has pretty decent weaponry, including the M728 and M456, which are very good anti-ground weapons. Then, of course, you have higher BR vehicles. I think you can get the OF40 MTCA for Golden Eagles. If that's the case, this is actually quite a decent vehicle. Very, very fast. It has incredibly good gunner's optics of, what is that, up to 20 times, if I'm not mistaken? 14 times zoom, but still, really, really nice gunner's optics for its BR. And if you can get the VRCC, which I keep forgetting which ones are available for Golden Eagles. If this is one that you can purchase for Golden Eagles, yes, I'd purchase this one for Golden Eagles any day over even the OF40 MTCA. Then, of course, moving on, I've been talking for a while here. BF-110 G4, I like it, but it's not really necessarily fantastic. For a strike aircraft at rank 3, it's actually quite good, but if you want more of a fighter, go for the Spitfire any day of the week. Then, of course, moving on here, I actually like the G55S. It's pretty good. I do have a review on it. I forget exactly what sort of issues I had with it. I think it was just that its top speed wasn't fantastic. Relative to BR, it really isn't. You're looking at lower 600s top speed, but if you're looking for a really, really powerful armament plus a really, really nice turn time, this thing does it. It just doesn't really have the best top speed. If you want a little bit more of a balanced vehicle, go with the BF-109 G2. This can also carry slightly better secondary ordnance, but over that, I would pick the G91R4. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This thing is pretty much the same as what you can get on the German one. It's just phenomenal. Then the Aria, if you want this thing, it's so good for anti-aircraft work. I love it. It's just this is like the last gunfighter, really, in War Thunder. It's probably the last gunfighter. It's just so good at what it does. Then, of course, moving on, there's not really anything that I would recommend for helicopters or any coastal, but moving to France. And there are a few things here. Now, if you're going to be getting the B1 Terror, I would just say get this thing as a pack vehicle. I think it comes in the beginner's pack. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's really good. But if you want more of a light tank, you also have yourself the AMX-13 M24, which is basically an AMX-13 chassis with an M24 turret. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it has a stabilizer, which it does. It has a vertical stabilizer. Okay, so yeah, it's quite good in that regard. It's just a good overall light tank. It's a fun little light tank. But if you want a little bit more of a serious thing, go with the M4A1 FL10. This is basically the M4A1, as you can see, with the, whatchamacallit, the SA50. It's got the same cannon. However, this has an autoloader on it. So it's got a 5-second autoloader, which is really, really nice. But the SA50 has much better vertical guidance than what you have on this. Plus, the autoloader doesn't really have a crap ton of ready rack space. So it is a bit worse, but if you're looking for just a really, really fast-firing vehicle, this thing can definitely do the trick. Then, of course, moving on, rank 4, I mean, I'm a Panther lover. Get the Panther Dauphine any day of the week. I think this is probably the best of the ones that you can get in rank 4. But of course, moving on here, if you're going to be going rank 5, I'd probably say if any of these, get yourself the Clovis. In fact, I'm going to get myself the Clovis right now. Excellent vehicle for Golden Eagles. It's just really, it's got great firepower. It has mediocre armor, but you're talking a 5-second autoloader at 8.0 PR. You really cannot go wrong. Then, of course, if I were going to go to one of these, I'd probably go with the VBCI2 MCT30. Awesome vehicle. It doesn't really have a great armament, but the fact of the matter is it's still incredibly fast, and you're looking at a really nice, I think, what is it, Gen 2, Gen 3 thermals. It's just an overall really, really nice vehicle that can mitigate the weaknesses of the 30mm Bushmaster because it is so damn fast. I'd probably get that over the AMX30 Super if the Super is even still available. Correct me if I'm wrong. I forget if it is or not. Now, moving into aviation. Again, P-47 D-22RE, can't go wrong with it. It's just so good. They're always so good. P-47s rule, in my opinion. Moving on, I mean, if you want like a rank 4, that's really good for CAS, AD4NA Sky Raider, right there, any day of the week. This thing is phenomenal. You are looking at just such a powerful close air support weapon system with 2,000-pound bombs. You can carry up to 1,000-pound bombs, a bunch of H-bars, a bunch of T-10-151 rockets, which are really powerful, especially at this BR. Very, very nice. Plus, it has 4 20mm cannons. Now, if you want yourself a relatively low BR AIM-9B, this is the way to go with the Seahawk Mark 50. Another one that I really like quite a bit. It's nothing fantastic, but it is a good way to get yourself AIM-9Bs, which at this BR, you'd be surprised how many of them hit, because if you're flying behind somebody, they're not expecting an AIM-9B to hit them or even be fired at them, so you actually get yourself quite a few kills, especially considering, again, that people just don't expect it, and also, they don't have countermeasures. Then, of course, you have the Milan. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is a pack vehicle, so I wouldn't even bother with it. So it's not really anything that you could even look at quite yet, but there will be a sale on pack vehicles soon enough. It's okay as a strike fighter, just to kind of give you guys an idea, but nothing really all that fantastic. Then, of course, moving through this, honestly, wouldn't really recommend any of that. Now, moving into Sweden. There are so many vehicles here. Oh, my goodness. We have ourselves a Sherman 3.4. Honestly, this might be the best low BR Sherman in game. It's so fast. 500 horsepower engine, 32.5 tons of weight. Really, really nice power to weight ratio. Just an overall excellent vehicle, especially at 3.7 BR. Recommend it any day of the week. And then you also have the KV-1 M1942. Damn shame that this is all the way down at rank 3, but I understand why it is, just because it's still a 4.7 BR vehicle. It really doesn't have the best cannon for its BR. Again, it only has like up to around 96mm of armor pen with its BR 350B, which is not fantastic. And if you use APCR, you're looking at just about 125mm of armor pen. But insofar as armor is concerned, just absolutely phenomenal. This thing is great even at 4.7 BR, especially if you can get it to a down tier. But I'd probably say Sherman 3.4 over the KV-1 M1942, simply because it's just a much more well-rounded vehicle. Now, moving on, the Stridsvagn 81 RB52. This is basically just your standard Centurion, but you have the RB52s, which you can aim. I mean, they're a bit of a pain in the tuchus to aim, but it gives you an extra option to use. I wouldn't really go for that personally, because in the next rank, you have yourself the Leopard 1A1 or 1A5 NO2, which is basically your standard Leopard 1A5, but still, you really can't go wrong with the Leopard 1A5 in my opinion. Stabilized, has itself the DM33. It's just an overall very good vehicle, very well balanced. And then of course the CV9035DK, I would avoid that personally. If you're going to be buying yourself one premium for Golden Eagles at this rank for Sweden, get yourself the Leopard 1A5 NO2 any day of the week. I mean, seriously, seriously, it's just so much better than the CV9035DK. Also, I think you can get the M8 MI28A for Golden Eagles. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you can, actually, it's quite good. I would definitely look at that. I use it myself quite a bit. Yeah, this is actually one of the few helicopters that I would recommend getting. It's just a really, really nice overall helicopter. Now, for aircraft, we have even more. We have the Morco Marine and the VL Mirsky 2. Now, if you're looking for a bit of a heavier, if I'm not mistaken, what was it? The VL Mirsky, which one of these was I looking at? Or maybe it was the Morco Marine or I forget. I think the VL Mirsky is the one with the heavier armament, but the Morco Marine has a little bit better performance overall. Yes, that's the case. So if you're looking for a bit more of a balanced fighter, then definitely the Morco Marine. But if you're looking for a heavier, just kick the enemy's teeth in, actually, no, my apologies. That wasn't it. You can't even get the Morco or the VL Mirsky anymore, but you can get the Fokker DXXI. That's what I was looking at. So if you're looking at a little bit more of a powerful fighter relative to BR, the Fokker 21 is probably where you're going to want to go, but the Morco Marine, if you want a little bit more of a balanced fighter, that's what it was. My apologies for that. Then you also have the VL Puremski. Basically, it means Hurricane. Very good vehicle in general. It's based on a BF-109, but it's got somewhat of gull wings. It's also got itself some 100 kilogram bombs. Pretty good overall vehicle. I can't really complain about it. I think it's an effective vehicle overall, and in my opinion, it looks pretty good. It's just your kind of standard early BF-109G series. Then, of course, you have your BF-109G6, the only rank 4 that you can get premium, at least as of current for Sweden. Very effective overall. It's got really nice top speed, really nice whatever. I would probably, I might get it. I don't know. I mean, like, I wouldn't avoid it, but, like, personally, I would skip it if you're going to be getting only one thing. Get yourself the Saab 105 OE. This thing is just a really, really nice overall vehicle. And again, another one with early AIM-9Bs. The RV-24s are AIM-9Bs. Plus, you have yourself some 30mm cannons. Just a very, very good overall vehicle. Maybe not the best insofar as speed is concerned, but definitely usable. And then finally, of course, you have your A32A Road Adam. This is basically the same as your standard A32A, but it is premium, and you also have yourself 600 kilogram bombs. I mean, it's just an overall very effective vehicle, at least in my opinion. It's not really, it's not flashy in any means or by any means, but it's still pretty decent. So if you need yourself a pretty decent CAS aircraft, that'll definitely do the job. And then finally, for Israel, we are getting there. Woo! Okay, so the Magach 3 ERA is actually, in my opinion, really good. It lacks a stabilizer, but it does have very nice, I think this is an M40, no, this is an M60? Either that or it's an M43. But it has the APDS as well as Heat FS, both of which are effective. Plus, it also has a somewhat rudimentary ERA system, as you can see. It's got the Blazer ERA. It's not very good versus kinetic energy, but if you're facing chemical munitions, still very, very effective. Whew. And then we also have the Schultz Caldelet, which is basically a more advanced Centurion, which has the M111 APF SDS, and also smoke shells. Lacks Heat FS, but you do get the Besh in there, and it also has thermals. Now for helicopters, I mean, the P-10 is okay. It's basically just a standard Apache. It's not bad. You can get yourself, of course, the Hellfire Bs and also some ATASs. I mean, if you're looking for a helicopter, you really can't go wrong with it, but it's also not necessarily fantastic. And then when it comes to aviation, we have basically, I think the only one that's available for Golden Eagles here, the F-84F, which actually I think I did a review on this. It's your standard F-84F. You really can't go wrong with it. I mean, like, for CAS, very, very good. You can carry up to 4 1,000-pound bombs, as you can see. A bunch of Mighty Mouses, which at this BR is actually quite an advantage, in my opinion. And it's pretty quick. Plus, if you're playing air battles, it gets itself an air spawn, which means that you can go after bombers early on, if there are any bombers, or if nothing else, you can just swoop down and attack enemy aircraft. So overall, pretty decent vehicle. It doesn't really stand out in any one way, but it'll still get the job done. But that said, thank you all so much for watching. This video took me a lot longer than I have ever expected it to take. I need to drink some water, but thanks so much for watching, especially if you stayed here until the end. I'll see you all on the other side. Hope you guys buy some good stuff. Take care, everyone. Oh, and let me know in the comments below what you purchased, because I think I just spent like 14,000 some odd Golden Eagles. Anyways, take care, everyone.